Hello and welcome back, or if this is your first time here, my name is Siobhan. I'm happy to have you. And I'm gonna just jump into the makeup today. I already primed. I used the Touch in Sol No Pore Bloom Prime Essence. Just gives some hydration to the skin, and it does make the skin just a little bit tacky. For Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty, I did get the Too Faced Born This Way powder foundation in the shade Snow. I don't even think you'll be able to see that. And then I also did get the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Neutral Nana. Then I did a little mini Natasha Denona haul. So this just came out. This is the mini retro palette. And then I also got the Bloom Highlighting Blush. And I mentioned this in my last video. It's the Sculpt and Glow, the full size. And it was 50% off on the Natasha Denona website. So since I was getting the eyeshadow and the blush, I went ahead and grabbed that too. Since I've been using my mini and I love my mini, so I'm looking forward to seeing what more of her formula is like. Since I have already primed, I'm going to find out if this shade is going to work for me. The packaging looks a lot like the Chocolate Soleil bronzer. And then inside it has the little mirror. And it does have like the little puff under here. And it's like extra velvety and soft on one side and then more like a traditional sponge on the other side. But I'm going to use this brush. This is a NYX Professional Makeup Brush in 03. So, not a lot of exciting news to share in general about life. We'll see if we can share some news about the foundation. It says infused with coconut water, aids in delicately replenishing skin's moisture levels. It's a powder foundation. That seems like, okay. Alpine Rose helps empower skin's health and resilience. Hyaluronic acid gives a smoother, more youthful appearance. I can't imagine that any of those skincare benefits would do anything coming from a powder foundation. But okay. Get naturally radiant, flawlessly smooth skin in seconds and touch up on the go with this do-it-all long-wear powder foundation. Infused with skin-loving coconut water, hyaluronic acid, and alpine rose, it's complexion perfection with full coverage. So undetectable, they'll think you were born this way. We'll see. Immediately after using, 96% said this formula felt comfortable on the skin. After using for 1 week, 95% said the formula helped control shine because it's a powder. 90% said the formula provided natural coverage. 91% said it made skin look smoother. And that's a consumer study of a whopping 104 women. All right. So, it's a powder foundation. I don't know why they're trying to make, I know this isn't new. The foundation didn't just come out. So, obviously they've been making these claims for a while. But I don't know why you would make claims about a powder foundation adding hydration to the skin. That's just asking to sound like you're being gimmicky. I don't know. And one of the benefits of powder foundation in general is that it helps with shine. This does have a fragrance, and I can't quite pin what it is. So I think on its own, it looks pretty nice. I do think that this would be nice to just, if I had a foundation that I just wanted to add a little bit of coverage, that this would be good for that. So, there's the mini retro. definitely sort of the current trend right now with like the sort of mauvey gray colors. They're super creamy, really pigmented, and I don't have anything to wipe my hand off so that I can do the last color. Un momento, por favor. It's a really pretty color story. Those were, you know, my typical swatches. Swatching is not my strong suit. So I'm gonna try something crazy, and I'm not gonna use eye primer. I know that's insane, but I don't feel like I'm necessarily gonna need it. So I'm gonna start out by going into this shade here. Oh, they do have shade names. Okay, so the shade names are Pixie, Vintage Taupe, 60s, Industrial, and Galaxia. So I'm gonna start out by going into, wait, is that right? No, that can't be right. I think it's Galaxia, Industrial, 60s, Vintage Taupe, and Pixie. So it's listed in the opposite direction. Industrial, 60s, that can't be right. That's not taupe. Vintage Taupe and Pixie. So I'm going to start out by going into Vintage Taupe. This is a Sigma E35 blending brush. And I'm just going to go in between my crease and my brow bone. We took my dog over to my boyfriend's sister's yesterday and let him run. Oh my god, it was so funny. So I have a little, he's not really that little. I have a Boston Terrier. I have an average sized Boston Terrier. And he thinks he is a big dog. Next I'm gonna go into 60s, which is the like center shade there. And I'm gonna go under that and then go kind of in a little V shape, like a little swoop up. I'm gonna try to do a semi 60s look since this is clearly inspired by the 60s. But he doesn't seem to realize he's a small dog. And I mean, he's tough. He is like just a ball of muscle. So we sometimes have issues when we take him to dog parks and things where, I mean, we can't put him with the small dogs because he's just too like rambunctious, and he doesn't play gentle. And with the big dogs, sometimes he just doesn't seem to understand what is happening in terms of the big dogs trying to let him know, like, hey, I don't want to play. And so that can be a little scary sometimes. But my boyfriend's sister has a couple of dogs. She has one that's just like a mixed breed of whatever, they don't really know. And then they have a Saint Bernard, a very large Saint Bernard, who is just like he's just like a big teddy bear, a big slobbery teddy bear, but super protective over their kids. And literally his mouth can fit all the way around my dog's head. So initially we were gonna just like leave the other dogs inside, but he was out there running and he needed to play with other dogs. So, and they're mixed breed, she just wasn't, like, she likes people. She's not really a dog kind of dog. Like, she doesn't want to play with other dogs. And so we ended up letting the Saint Bernard out, and it was so funny because he just, like, put my dog in his place. My dog tried to, like, jump up on him because that's what he does. Like, he thinks that the way to play is to, like, jump at other dogs' like ears and, like, chew on them. That's also how he thinks he should be playing with people, because that's just how Boston Terriers play. This is a Rephr 03. This is just their pencil brush. And I'm just going to go close to the lash line. And it was, like, I've never seen him so scared before. Like, Bernie, the Saint Bernard, just, like, barked at him. And all he did was, like, bark at him one time. And Winston, my dog, was just, like, tail between his legs, like, backed off. My boyfriend got freaked out and put him back in the house. And then he was let back out again because my dog needed to play with other dogs, and he needs to be more socialized. Like, he needs to learn that you can't be that way. And his sister's husband was there. Like, he's not gonna let his dog hurt my dog. And I mean, Bernie's never hurt another dog, and he's, you know, like, he's not new. They've had him for a few years, so, and so my dog, like, wouldn't go for the ball if Bernie was near him. And at one point, like, Bernie walked by him. My dog just, like, put his ears down and tucked his little nubby tail and literally, like, rolled over on his back and put his legs up and was like, okay, I get it. It's your yard. It was adorable. Ridiculous and adorable. And I loved it. And then they started running around and playing together, and it was great. But my dog definitely, I live in a house of alphas. I have an alpha cat and an alpha dog, and they just constantly fight for alpha status, and it's really annoying. So it was actually really nice to see my dog just, like, put in his place. Like, here you go. This is what you're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna take, I want to use all the shades because I'm using it for the first time. So I'm gonna take what I think is the shade Industrial, this shade here. The shade names on the back don't really, because either this is Industrial or this is Industrial. But if this is Industrial, then this is Vintage Taupe, but that doesn't look like the shade. Hey Siri, can you find me an image of the shade Taupe? I don't understand these shade names. I don't get it. I'm just gonna go with this color. Go with this shade. I don't know what this shade is called because I don't know. Because I would think that this shade would be called Industrial. But then the shade names don't match up with the shades. So, and I don't feel like going to Natasha Denona's website right now to find out. I could, but I don't wanna. And I shouldn't have to. And this is just an e.l.f. pencil brush. And I'm gonna go into this shade that's here at the end, which I think is Galaxia, but it might be Pixie, because I don't, just so that you understand my confusion. Either one of these two, if those shade names are in order, one of these two has to be Industrial and one of these two has to be Vintage Taupe. Now I think that this was Vintage Taupe and this was Industrial and this was Galaxia, and then that would maybe make this one 60s and this one Pixie, but then these are in the wrong order on the back of here. And it's confusing. So that's enough about the shade names. I'm just gonna go into this one at the end, this nice foil here. I'm gonna try with a brush and see if I have to wet it. In the pan, it kind of looks like it's a glitter, but it's definitely a foil. It's just like a more chunky formula in the pan, but it doesn't seem to be chunky going on the eye or when I swatched it. Actually, I really like that formula. And then I'm just gonna go the rest of the way in with this shade down at the end, which I'm just gonna refer to as this shade. And I'm gonna go all the way to my inner corner. I'm just gonna take that foil on my fingers. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Urban Decay Chill and spray my fingers and then lay that down. That is such a gorgeous shade. This is the Hyper Easy Brush Tip Liner from Maybelline. I'm gonna go all the way to the end of where I went with that. And then come back in this way. And then we're gonna see if I can replicate that on the other side. I should do my hard eye first instead of my easy eye. I also, if you're ever wondering why I'm looking over here instead of looking directly at the camera, that's where my viewfinder is. So anytime I hear the lens focus, I'm just checking to make sure that it's actually going into focus and not out of focus, and not focusing on something weird or crazy that I don't want it focusing on. Okay, those are very uneven wings. But I'm gonna end up messing them up more if I try to do something more with it. While that's drying, let's see if I can get some eyebrows going on. So again, this is the Urban Decay Brow Blade. It's a waterproof pencil and on one side, an ink stain on the other side. And it is in Neutral Nana, which I just figured that getting a nice neutral brown would work best for changing my hair color so frequently. I trimmed my brows and now I really should tint them because my hair is so light that like where it looks like my eyebrows are patchy is literally just because the hair is so light you can't see it. I'm gonna use Urban Decay Perversion in my waterline. So in my last video, I was talking about the setting of my hand on the side of my face. And clearly that's something that I just am gonna do forever. I tried for like 5 minutes not to, and that didn't go well. So I'm just gonna accept that it's just a thing that I'm gonna do forever. And so what I did instead was I actually went on Beauty Bay today and ordered the Linda Hallberg, the little like powder puff, so that I can start just wearing that on my hand. So I'm also going to use this to tight line. Whew. just gonna smudge my lash line with it, like literally go across my lashes so that there's not a separation. And then I'm gonna go back to my eyeliner and I'm gonna finish bringing this into the middle. And go all the way down to my tear duct. Next, we're gonna find out what I think of this Sculpt and Glow palette, which is huge. So this does come, this is the light medium. So it comes with 3 powder products and then 3 cream products. And it has this little door here that covers the cream to keep them from getting powder in them. It has a huge mirror. So I will use this for my contour and my highlight. So this says Japanese pressed powder, contour sculpting powder, all over glow shimmer powder. And then the corresponding face glow cream shimmer, contour cream, and highlight cream. So I'm going to actually see. So I have the little Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow. And I just want to compare this shade because I couldn't find anywhere online where these were actually like where the shades were compared. And then this is the contour shade in here. So it's hard to see. They're very subtle. This one is the Bronze and Glow. This one is the contour shade. So you can see the Bronze and Glow is definitely a little warmer, which means this might even be a better shade for me. And this is the Complex Culture Press and Set Bronzer. And this is the first time I've used this brush, so hopefully it works out well. It's like the softest brush ever. I just haven't used it. So I'm just gonna go really light-handed. So I think it's a really good shade. You'll have to let me know what you think, because sometimes I'm wrong about these things and I don't realize it until later when I'm watching stuff back. I'm gonna bring this line in just a little bit further, like to here. I just want to have that very like 1960s going out to the club kind of look going on. Which may very well be ruined by giving it a 2020 highlight. But, you know, whatevs. I hope that dried. Okay, and then I'm going to go into the All Over Glow Shimmer in Powder. Also in this. No, that's a real subtle glow. This is the Rephr number 18 brush, by the way. I'm trying to get better about saying what brushes I'm using. Okay, that is too subtle of a glow. This is the Rephr number 17 brush. I'm gonna see if I can get a little more glow out of this. This is more like, I don't know, just super subtle. I don't usually go for super subtle when it comes to highlight, which is okay. It's gonna add more highlight to it, I'm sure, when I put the blush on. It is fragranced. And it's, I mean, it's there. It's just more subtle than I'm used to. It's very pretty. It's just a very pretty, like, subtle champagne highlight. And then my final new product, the Natasha Denona Bloom Blush. Wow, which is much darker than I thought it was going to be. It seems okay. If you've been around for any amount of time, then you know that I tend to have a heavy hand with blush, and that I also like glowy blushes. So this blush was right up my alley. But wow, look at that. It looks... So we're gonna see if we can make this blush subtle. And if I can make this blush subtle, anybody can make this blush subtle, because I am definitely heavy-handed. It certainly helps with the glow too. What was I saying about being subtle? Yeah, I'm not so good with subtle. It's subtle went out the window the second the brush hit my face. It's still, like, it is not as intense as I was worried it was going to be with my typically heavy hand, but I definitely have a little bit of that sunburned nose look going on. But I like this. This is so pretty. And this shade, I think, could really, like, because definitely you can make this more subtle, and you could absolutely also use this on a deep skin tone. Like, I feel like it could really work for a wide range of skin tones, which not always the case with blushes. And you certainly don't. This is, I put on a lot. This is not, I know that I said subtle, but I lied. Not intentionally. I just really like a lot of blush. It's not my fault. It's kind of my fault. And then I'm gonna try and do a very 1960s nude lip. This is the Makeup Geek Full Spectrum Eyeliner Pencil. And then I'm gonna go back into this palette and go into that very metallic shade that we put on the lid. Now that it is dry up here, I'm just gonna finish off this look. What is possibly the most difficult part, which is drawing lashes down at the bottom. My mom was very into fashion in the 60s, so I grew up hearing about the 60s fashion a lot, and Twiggy and it's something that I enjoyed when I was a kid. This is the Bad Gal Bang mascara by Benefit. And I am going to put on lashes. So the Bad Gal Bang mascara, I have talked about it in various videos when I've used it. And I've talked about how I got it and it very much like would bleed and transfer all over the place. And then I used it one day and that didn't happen. And I thought that was weird. And then it didn't happen the next few times I used it. And then I used it and it started doing it again. I realized today that I have 2 tubes of this mascara. And I think that it's from 2 different batches. So we're going to find out. Well, I'm going to find out if this batch. So if I wear this today and it doesn't transfer, then like, or if it's not like super bad about transferring and stuff, then I'm gonna put it aside and I'm gonna put a little post-it note with it that says this one is the one that didn't transfer. And then I'm gonna try the other one and I'm gonna see if it is a matter of batches, like if some batches are better than others and that's the problem, or maybe there was just like one bad batch and that's what I got. For lashes, I'm gonna wear these Kiss Beehive lashes. Lashes are on. Let me know what you think of this look and let me know if you're gonna get this palette. I do want to talk a little bit about the size of the palette. I heard somebody the other day, I didn't hear them. I saw a comment on Instagram the other day about how the size of these eyeshadows aren't worth it because it's $25 for this eyeshadow palette. The thing about that is that how often do you hit pan on eyeshadows? So if you're getting a good formula, it's worth it for me personally to have the better formula than it is for me to have a situation where I've paid less, but I'm not really using it anyway because it's not a formula that I love. I don't know. I like it. I think that it's worth it for me personally. That's something you would have to decide for yourself. Here's the look. I hope that you are doing very well, that you are staying 6 feet away from people or wearing masks when you go out into the world, because it is a crazy, crazy world that we live in right now. And I want everyone to stay safe and healthy. And yeah, that is that. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Bye.